Oh, really?
We did all that.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started so I can get you guys out of here as quickly as possible. My name's Amy Elliott. I'm the athletic director here at KCD. I want to say thank you, first of all, for being here. I know it's time out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate that. It's a Sunday, I don't know if there's football on and other stuff, but being in person is really important to me. For some of you that I've never met before in person as well, and I really appreciate you making the time to be here. We're going to go over a lot of information. Much of it's in that folder, and I'd really recommend that you take that folder with you everyday coaching for practice, whether you with your practice plans or when you're going away games. There's so much information there. I update it pretty much every 3 months or so. We'll leave an emergency action plan in there, our coach's handbook, and we're going to go over, if you want to flip open the folder, the first 3 pages. In the left, I can't talk. Yes, left pocket. First 3 pages in the left pocket. If you want to pull those out, those are primarily what we're going to be going over today, where it says a coach's checklist. The next slide's not in your folder, but just something that I wanted to make sure I put up there, and kind of quickly what we expect at coaches at KCD. Like, what do we expect from you all differently maybe than some other schools or different places? And the first thing is just that you're mission aligned, and our mission is Citizen Scholar Steward. Just making sure that you guys know it's an educational-based athletic system, education-based athletics, meaning it is not a win at all costs. It is not, we run them till they die. We are trying to teach them much more than just their sport, and I want you to win every game. I want you to win a championship. Believe me, I'll do whatever I can to help you get there. But at the same time, we are a high school sport that's educationally based, so academics come first. We want character-based programs and making sure that you're doing and saying things that are appropriate for our mission. Secondly, just being knowledgeable in your content area. So anytime you guys want to go to conferences or read books or go to different ways that you can help professional development, please let me know, because we always want you guys to be better. Third thing is just a growth mindset. So no matter what, if you've been coaching for a year, 5 years, 20 years, the game changes, whatever game it is that you're playing, and really having that growth mindset to be open to changing maybe how you coach or what you're coaching. I'll tell you what changes a ton is the kids. It's very different now than they were 20 years ago. You have to be adaptable with your coaching style to that. You can't just say, well, this is the way I did it 20 years ago, this is the way I'm gonna do it. It's just not the way it's gonna work, all right? So having that growth mindset. And the last thing I really feel like for our coaches at KCD is establishing relationships. If you can get the kids to establish trust and rapport with you, you're going to be able to get the very best out of them. That really is what works for the kids that are here. They're hardworking kids, they're really smart kids. Some of them are not the best athletes, some are great athletes. But what you need to do as a coach is establish those relationships with them, and if they find that you will trust them and you have their back, they're going to do anything at all that they can to be successful for you. So just kind of 4 things that I haven't mentioned in the past that I really wanted to go over of what we kind of expect for coaches at KCD, especially for new coaches. So for varsity head coaches especially, or even middle school coaches, you want to, right now in January, you need to find out who's playing for you. So some of you already know that, especially if you coached before, but you want to know who is playing for you. So you can email all student news, create a Google form. You can even host a meeting during the day, like during the lunch. They have morning time at like 10 a.m. now. They have a time at lunch from 11:45 to 12:30, and then they have another time at like 1:50 to 2:20. If you ever want to come to school and meet with your team or meet with people and talk about it, let me know and I'll help you figure that out. For middle school, James Booker will actually get you guys a list of kids that are on your team. They sign up through PE and then they sign up through a form online. So you guys can just wait and we'll send in that information. But once you get your interested students, you need to go on My KCD and you need to create your roster. And any help you need with this stuff, please just ask me after this meeting. We can set up time to meet. There is a link and a hyperlink in this presentation that shows you directions through My KCD, but I'm happy to help you through all that stuff. So anything that's on here is super important. Make sure that you kind of use this as a guideline as you're going through the start of your season of what you've done and what you've not done and what I can help you with. Very soon after you find out who wants to play in your team, make sure you host an in-person or virtual meeting for all students and parents. Mainly more for the parents than for the kids, right? You want to have this to talk about whatever off-season practices you might be doing now or you're going to do, conditioning you're expecting from them, if you're having tryouts, if you're not having tryouts, what practice times are, lifting, are you lifting, when are you lifting, I'll talk about that in a second. what is your schedule? Everyone's schedule should pretty much be done by now, and if I've not shared that with you, you should have it, but I'm happy to do that. So the parents need to know what that schedule is, knowing that it's, 99% correct, things are gonna change, but they can plan their days around when their kids are gonna practice or where their games are and so on. There are a lot of vacations in spring, so you've got your February break, you got your spring break, you got a bunch of stuff. Make sure you're just telling your parents what your expectations are. Sometimes it's you have off the whole time, sometimes it's, hey, you need to be back the second weekend because we're starting practice, we have a game on Monday. This just needs to be communicated. So all of this stuff is just communication that you guys need to get your parents. Make sure you talk to them about whatever your vision, your philosophy, and your expectations are. Some of the expectations I would definitely lay down are like a 24-hour rule. Okay, there's no talking to a coach within 24 hours for a parent at all, ever. Okay, if you want to talk to a coach, you can wait 24 hours. You can call them, email them, and so on. So if someone approaches you after a game, the parents should know this, but you need to say, hey, this is probably not the best time for us to be talking right now. If you guys want to set something up, but we can meet in the next day or two. But whatever you would like to establish with your parents, that is totally up to you, and I will have your back for that, but you've got to set that tone right away, okay? Make sure that you're telling your parents how you're gonna run your program. The one that we've not done the best job of, I feel like, and that we have a huge advantage, compared to other schools, is that we have a brand new state-of-the-art weight room. We have Ed Long is a certified strength coach that works with all the kids. Their freshman year, they have to take PE, 8th grade, they take PE. And that PE is gonna be strength and conditioning. But our football team, who takes a lot of the space, they do their stuff now in the mornings or during the day. So the kids all have an opportunity to take the class third trimester. And if you're a coach, I would highly recommend that you to tell them to take that. Meaning they'll take it during the day, third trimester, which will start in probably like right when your season begins, and finish out. They'll be lifting 4 days a week. If there's ever a huge game day or something, they just tell Ed, hey, I have a game day, I'm gonna lift lighter today and whatnot. But we have a great facility to make our kids stronger. We can't pick our kids, right? I wish we could. But one of the things we can do is make our kids bigger, faster, and stronger, and less, prone to injury. So if you're not lifting with your team, especially varsity coaches, I would try to find a time to meet with me or with Ed and figure out what's best for your team. There's a ton of weight room space open right after school. Like, that's usually the thing. Like, I don't want to do it later, I want to do it right away. Right now, there's no one using the weight room right after school. So there's tons of places for you guys to plug yourself in. It's just what you want to do with your team and how you're going to kind of make that an expectation and a standard. The official start day is February 15th. That's just to tell you, KHSA, that's when you can have tryouts. Most of the teams here, we don't have tryouts. We kind of set the teams of like JV varsity. But just so you know, anything before then can't be mandated. You can have 5 practices a week right now if you want. I know baseball's doing a ton, lacrosse is doing some soon. You can have all those, they just can't be mandatory, right? Once February 15th comes, and I think February 16th is a Monday this year, that's when you can officially start practice, make tryouts, make it mandatory, and so on.
That's right.
If you haven't done this already, all right, and I know some of you have, which is great. If you're in high school, you need to create a spirit wear order with Robbie Wine. He's our vendor from BSN, all right? My typical spiel is get 3 mandatory items, so things the kids have to get, whether that's like a practice shirt, a game day shirt, it could be a practice uniform like a top and bottom, it could be a team sweatshirt, like 3 to 5 things tops that are mandatory, right? And then Robbie will automatically include a ton of extra items, so long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts, tank tops, you name it, that the kids can get, the parents can get, and so on. But with the mandatory items, if you can try to make sure that you keep those at a minimum and try to repeat those each year. So like when I was coaching, I had a t-shirt and a short that the kids wore for practice. Well, the next year we pretty much had the same exact thing. So if they want to order another one, they can, but their parents aren't paying, several $100s, because a lot of these kids play multiple sports. So they'll spend $200, $300 on spirit wear in the fall, and then basketball's like, well, you need to have this, Nike Dri Fit suit, and then lacrosse is you need this. Just be wary that the parents are talking about that a lot lately. I want you to have mandatory items. I want you to look good. I want you to look uniform. Just be careful the way you're doing it. And if you have any questions, let me know. We just want to keep those costs at our minimum for our families, and again, try to reorder the same sort of stuff. For middle school, we usually don't know your rosters till later. So sometimes we'll just use Scott Hendrickson. He just is able to turn around things a lot more quickly. So you can use the high school line or high school coaches. I would always send that link to your middle school coaches because they can still order stuff if they want, right? They don't have to order anything, but the parents can. Sometimes they just want to get things. But middle school, we typically do like a team t-shirt, and then that's kind of it. And then, or maybe shorts, and then they can get whatever else they want. right? But this is a little bit more difficult because a lot of times we don't know what our rosters are till season starts. We usually give families just a 10-day ordering window. If you give them less or give them more, it just gets lost in translation. So give them a couple days, start it, remind them, and then when it closes, it closes. There's always gonna be a parent that's late. The problem with that is once that closes, it is closed, because right now you guys are too late in terms of waiting for another order to reopen up in order for you guys to get your stuff. So just keep reminding your parents when that due date is. All right, your coach's handbook is in the middle of your folder. It is super long, and there's apologies for that a little bit, but worked really hard on that. Always adjust it, adding things. We added something about travel and per diem. It's something that at some point I need you to read all of, especially if you're a brand new coach. If you have a question throughout the season, I would guess about 99% of the questions are going to be answered in that coach's handbook, right? Please don't hesitate to reach out to me or another coach, but there is a ton of information in here that I'm not going to go over, because if I did, it would be like a 4-hour meeting. Something you guys can read on your own. It will go into more specifics about what your liabilities are, how to pick up a team parent, your banquet, your senior night, things like that. Please make sure you read through that. There's policies up and down and all around, but it's something that I really need you to understand. Sorry, I'm just looking, there's a chart which shows kind of our philosophies for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and then JV varsity, like with the different things in a pie chart of like playing time versus development and things like that. So tons of philosophies and things that I need you guys to know. So please make sure you read that. And then I'm gonna send you this, I think I already did, but I'm gonna send you this presentation. Once you finish the handbook, please just click on the Google form that says, I've read it, I've acknowledged it, and I'm gonna follow this, and we're good. You're gonna have two things, two forms for me to fill out. One of them is the coach's handbook, and one is the emergency action plan. So just make sure within a week or so you've been able to read all this, and then kind of turn that into me so you can acknowledge that. Before practices start, so some of you that might be a month away, might be a month and a half, but make sure you have practice plans every day. Make sure they're detailed. Sometimes they can be down to the minute, sometimes they can be every 10 minutes, but warm up, stretch, 1v1 drill, whatever, water. Make sure you have practice plans, okay? What I would do on my practice plans as well is take attendance. And I put on those days who's there and who's not and why they're not. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna forget, and you're gonna forget why they weren't there. And that's just, again, another record to cover your butt whenever things happen or kids aren't showing up to practice and they wanna know why they're not playing. You can pull out, well, Jim hasn't been here for 5 days straight, so he's been to every game, but he hasn't come to one practice, so he's not playing today. This way, it just, again, helps you document things to allow yourself to be able to be backed up in situations if there's any question. But always have a detailed practice plan. To me, you'd never go to your job without being prepared. You never go, it's like I was a teacher, without having a plan for the day. You can't just show up to practice and be like, we'll just see what happens, okay? You have to be really detailed about what you're doing, and the kids need to know as well. If you are doing tryouts, let me know. I don't think anybody in the spring is, in terms of like cutting, like kids will not make it. You may be putting them on JV instead of varsity, that's fine. But if there's any tryouts, those really have to be specific. Those really have to be, where you can have exact numbers and you can show parents if you have to, or explain why someone's made a certain team. And then at some point in time, head coaches, you want to kind of outline your sequence, right? Of like where I want to start in practice and where I want to end in practice. Because you can't start with like a 5-mile run. Okay, you've got to start conditioning them. You got to start working on the basics and the fundamentals, and then you can work on more advanced drills. If you try to do some crazy advanced, lacrosse drill the first day of practice and some kid gets hit in the head, that's some of that liability is on you, because you have to prep them, right? You've got to get them ready for being in shape. I wish they could become in shape. I wish they would come totally ready. They're not. Right? Some kids are, but they're not. And so you're liable for that, so make sure you take your time and have season progression. Before any practices start, I would, this is kind of our varsity coaches, but really in general, meet with your assistants and then meet with your other head coaches. So I know like you guys are sitting together. It's important for the varsity head coach to know who the JV coaches, the 7th and 8th, the 5th and 6th. You're building a program here, right? It's not just about your team, because if you're not working at the middle school level and you don't have enough kids or you're not generating interest, in a couple years there's not going to be anybody to play for you in high school. So it's really important that you kind of spiral your instruction from the bottom up, right? And again, it's a program, it's not just the team. At some point in time soon, inventory, you can come see me if you don't know where stuff is, but how many balls do you have, cones, where are the uniforms, what equipment do you have? Because if you ask me the first day of practice, for, 2 cases of balls, sure, but it might not be here for a week or so, right? So please look ahead, find out what you have, what you need. I'm happy to order anything you need, but just do that sooner than later so we can get it in on time for your practices. Lexi will be taking care if your kids have physicals. So the only thing I'll need you to do is when you get your rosters, we'll send those to Lexi. Lexi will go through, which is great because we used to have to do this as coaches. She'll go through everybody to make sure that their physical is current. If it runs out during the season, she'll tell you, but no kid can play without a current physical, right? That's huge. That's a huge liability. All you need is to tell Lexi who's on your team, and then she will figure that out too. Another thing, once season starts, you can do it early though if you want, because you can do it one of your first practices. You have to do concussion testing with your team. They do it on their phone. It takes about 20 minutes. So you just schedule a time, hey, Lexi, come out on Tuesday's practice for the first 15 minutes, and we want to do concussion testing. All right, so every team has to do that. Just find out whatever's convenient for you. All right. This is for, and spring it's not as important because you guys aren't in the building as much, but if you are like a varsity head coach especially, and you don't have a key card to get into the building, let me know, okay? What I want you to do is you're gonna send a headshot, like just some picture. It can't have sunglasses, can't have a hat. So just a headshot of you, doesn't have to be pretty, don't worry about it. But I need to get that to Wes Odom, who's in our security, to get you a key card, all right? There will be times where maybe there's inclement weather and you guys have to come inside, so I at least want one coach on the staff to have a key card for in case of emergencies. But again, most of you guys are gonna be outside. The key card will also get you in the concession stand for ice and things like that. Okay, so this is you, just again, circle that. I've got pens here if you need to write anything down, but notes of what you need to do before things start. For high school, there are certifications that you must complete through KHSAA. One of them is a safety course. It is awful. It's like 5 hours. You don't have to do it all in a row, but it is, it's terrible. I'm sorry. You'll never get that time back, but you have to take it. You have to take it every 2 years. You also have to do a sports-specific rules clinic. This won't come out till the beginning of season. So right now, you guys can't take this yet. It's just not even out. What they typically do is it's just about your sport, and then if there's any rule changes, like is there mandatory helmets this year or whatever it is, okay? CPR, every 2 years you need to have that certified. So if you don't, that's something you need to work on. Middle school, out of all this, if you're a middle school coach here, you only need CPR, okay? And if you click on this, I'm just afraid to click on it, but I'll do it. This goes through everything you need to know in terms of like what certifications, how you get them, and so on. Why I brought this up is I have a little section for CPR and first aid. Here's the online link. It's like $15. You just go to the course and you take it. Okay, so all these hyperlinks will take you to everything you need in terms of being able to do all these required courses. Okay, so let's see. Oh yeah, sorry. The last one is fundamentals of coaching. This is just for high school coaches. You take it one time and you're done. All right. And any fees that you pay for, just get me the receipt and we will reimburse you as well. Before practices start, you need to make sure your stuff is in MyKCV. So if you don't know how to do that, come see me. We can sit down and do it. Someone on your staff might know how to do it if they're an on-campus teacher or coach, but your practices and games need to be on MyKCV. Lacrosse is huge into Max Preps, especially for girls and boys. So you guys are going to want to put your stuff in Max Preps as well, just because that's how they're going to rank you and things like that. Camp sample for upper school, and James Booker, James back there. Wait, James is our middle school athletic director. He's phenomenal. If you can get him like your practice schedule, we'll get those into what we call the school calendars called Tandem. They are on us a lot about making sure every practice, and it's crazy, but every practice, every team, every game is on the school calendar. We use this place for tons of things, so we need to have everything in line. So we're gonna ask you kind of, when you don't have a game, when are your practice times? If they're always 4 to 6, great. I feel like in the spring, some of you guys do more weekend practices than we do in the fall. Just tell me, because like if I don't know if you see the gyms right now, like there's always something going on. You will have priority, but if you don't tell me, then the gyms might be booked or something might be booked, right? So just if you can get ahead of telling James and Cam when your practices are, when you don't have a game, we can get that on the calendar. Arbiters, if you need officials, so baseball, lacrosse, track, you don't need that, but we'll enter all your home games into that, so don't worry about arbiter. We'll take care of making sure your officials are assigned for every game. Yeah.
Are we doing team snap or? No?
So we'll get that. We're gonna do, we're doing sports U, and I'll get to that in just a second. Yeah. First 2 weeks of practice, once things have kind of started, make sure you finalize your roster. I'll send you a template. You just make sure everything's on that. when I say updating your roster, I mean, when you hand your uniforms out, you're gonna give, obviously, uniform numbers to all your kids. I have to enter all of that into KHSAA, so it's really important, especially that JV and varsity are correct, because that's what the KHSAA goes off of, that's where our Title IX numbers go off of, that's what other schools we use for rosters. So please make sure you update that. Even middle school though, please make sure you're getting to James, you know, who's on your team, what their numbers are and so on. We do try to kind of use information like what percentage of our kids are playing, or then here James will look up how many middle school kids have played 3 sports, and we'll look at the rosters. So the rosters are really important. Make sure that you update that. If you have any questions, again, ask any of us. But really important to get that right in KHSA. If you need a bus anywhere, all right, you're gonna have to email Matt Jones. All right, you can either take a bus to a place and then know parents will be there and they'll be able to drive them home, or you can take them there and back. So if you're going to like Sayre and Lexington, I would probably take them there and back. If you're going to Ballard, I probably wouldn't even take a bus. If you're going to Fern Creek, maybe you take a bus there, but the parents are gonna meet there and bring it back. So if you need a bus, you can have a bus. For anything you want, they are expensive. So I would just minimize those in terms of if it's local, right? But then again, if you're like, hey, I want to take a bus to every game because I feel like that's good for the camaraderie of your team, then you do that, okay? It will come out of your budget, so the more you do that, which is fine, just the less we have for other things, but you are welcome to take a bus anywhere you need. If anything changes, this is Matt's cell phone, this is Matt's phone number, we will get charged, and this happens, and it's gonna happen, I'm sure, this year. Like, there will be a rainout at some point of some game, and then either you guys will forget to tell Matt, or I'll forget to. We need to call the bus company, because then we still get charged for that bus, a couple $100, even if we don't take it. So anytime you're making a game cancellation, try to think about if you needed a bus for that game, and if so, do we need to cancel that? Super easy, we just need to do it before like 2 o'clock. First couple weeks of practice, talk to your parents in that parent meeting about your team fee. We typically charge, we're kind of on the low end, so 200 is what we've been doing more for fall and, fall and winter sports. That will be charged to their fax account, so that's gonna include some extras, like if you have snacks for games, or their banquet, or I can give you a list of things that if parents want kind of an itemized list. But this is really the extra stuff you have for, I don't wanna say fun, but kind of for fun for your kids. So when they want a team meal before a game, or you wanna have a team lunch, those kind of things are for the team, and it goes right back to those kids. This is a link, hyperlink for directions of how you charge team fee. You'll email it to Bob and me just to make sure that we get those in. All right, make sure you process your fees after your final roster, because it is a pain for us to charge a parent and then get it back. So just wait a week or so, maybe start your fax account sheet, and then when you know that's your roster, we'll go ahead and send that and process that. All right, the emergency action plan is in the very back of your folder. It is 63 pages. Okay, now you don't necessarily read all the AP, but what a lot of those pages are is they're site specific. So meaning that it will tell you if you're on the Northwest soccer field, what are you gonna do if there's a kid with a broken leg? What are you gonna do in a tornado? What are you gonna do if there's a fight? Every single page after the first like 10 that I want you to read is site specific. So find your site, whether that's on the track or whatnot, and say, okay, if there was an emergency, what do we have to do, all right? It's cool and not cool. What we do now is that you're gonna have to practice. We used to ask coaches to practice this. Now, high school especially, Lexi will come to a practice, again, you tell her what's good, and she will practice all those scenarios with your team. She'll tell me what date, and then I have to go to KHSA and say, okay, the baseball team did their EAP, I do under every coach, and I have to put the date on there, all right? But it's super important to read through that EAP. Again, that you don't have to read the whole thing, but find your site, and then make sure you read the first couple pages of understanding, what's important, who the people, honestly, we really hope Lexi's here, right? I mean, that's the big thing, please let Lexi just be here to handle most of these things, but Lexi might be at the track when something's going on for boys lacrosse, and you guys might be able to have to do those first couple steps, call 911, getting the AED and things before Lexi's able to get there. So please make sure that you kind of take a look at those. I would document it in your own practice plan when you do that, and then fill out this form when you've read the AEP and you kind of know what your site's there, fill out that form. So that's that second thing digitally that I need you to do. Throughout the season, if anything changes, please just email me, call me, text me, whatever. This doesn't happen often, but if you're friends with a coach from Ballard and Ballard's like, oh, we're canceling today, The coaches, I understand that it's gotta go through the ADs. So just tell me, hey, the Valor coach reached out, they're canceling the game, then I'll call their AD, confirm it, all that stuff. So anytime anything changes, let me know. Once you let me know, notify your players and your parents. And again, we talked about the bus changes. If you had a bus, make sure you tell Matt, hey, please cancel that bus, we're canceling the game. I would like you to update it on my KCD, and then Max Preps, if that's, applicable to you, and the athletic department will take care of everything else, right? But any changes, make sure you go through me, middle school, go through James, and that way we can all be on the same page. This is something that's super important for the head coaches, or like as a head coach, if you're like, I'm not a great communicator, if you got an assistant coach that's really good, say, hey, can you help me with my Sunday night emails? All I want you to do on Sunday is send out a plan for the week. It does not have to be super detailed. It's say Monday practice 4 to 5:30, Tuesday game at Central, be there at 5, wear your white uniforms, whatever, rainbow uniform, anything you want. But this needs to go out and I need to be on it. The reason why is it's really helpful if a parent or someone calls or I'm checking things, I'm able to look at what you sent for the week and kind of align it with, is that what our school calendar says? Is that what Arbiter says for officials? It's kind of a double, triple check. So please make sure someone is doing that. It should be the head varsity coach, but again, sometimes they're like, if that's not your forte, I get it. Someone has to do it. So your assistant can be that person, all right? What you're also gonna have is Sports U. If I haven't gotten it to you yet, I think I've gotten to varsity coaches, but not the middle school coaches yet. We will create a team in Sports U. It's just an app. We're trying to make a app that's the same for everybody. So everybody has used this Sports U in the fall and the winter, so the parents and the kids are a lot more used to it. We'll have a team, and that's the way you'll communicate to your team. So there's this new bill, SB 181, I think it is. You are not supposed to text with kids ever, period. Because texting is not they're not able to trace that. So if you are gonna communicate with your kids, and I know this is different, because in the past we've done that, I used to do it all the time with my kids, right? You've gotta use Sports U. You can use Sports U to send out, quick updates, especially if there's like a rain out, hey, the practice is canceled today because it's pouring, or, somebody's field's too wet to play, or, whatever, okay? So Sports U is great to be able to do an immediate communication daily. The spring is probably the worst in terms of cancellations, so it's great for you to have an app where parents can get it right on their phone. Email is awesome, right? But I feel like everybody expects now that immediacy in their phone. So this will be the app that we're using. Make sure your communication is professional at all times. I'll send you the link to your group, like I said, but you gotta really be careful about what you say, what the kids say. Never be on a player-only communication. Don't be on like a team snap, a group chat. Don't do it, okay? It will burn you, okay? You don't need to know what they're saying. You don't wanna know what they're saying. You don't wanna be a part of that. If you do know there's some group chat and bad things are going on, or you hear like some kids bullying some other kid, you need to step in and say like, dude, stop this, right? Like this is not how we're acting, this is not appropriate. But definitely don't be on it, because I don't want you liable for anything that is said or done. But I feel like if you've got captains, have your captains can still text the team, right? And say, hey, I talked to coach and we're doing this today. That's totally fine. But just, this is all again to protect you guys in case anything were to happen. If we have any multi-sport athletes, and we may have a kid that wants to do girls lacrosse and then run track, like I know we have one of those. So the coaches really need to work together for that athlete. I don't want that athlete who could be like a 15 to 18-year-old kid trying to figure out what practice he or she's supposed to go to. That's pretty intimidating for them. They're gonna wanna please both coaches. So if you know you have someone that does multiple sports, I want the coaches to kind of meet up and say, hey, what are we doing for this week? Like, I really need them for this game or this practice and whatnot, okay? And that's just something that we've talked more about for the coaches to work together as opposed to the kids. That's just not something they should be doing. Throughout the season, make sure you're maintaining records for each practice. So on your practice plan, okay? I think I said this before, make notes as to why a player missed. Was it a doctor appointment? Did they have to stay after school because they're failing a test? Did they get a detention and they have to stay after school? Are they injured, right? Because things are gonna fly by and you're not gonna remember. But make sure you always have your practice plan, have who's there and why they're not there. Your injured players should be required to come to all your practices, right? What they should do is go see Lexi, who's our trainer, right after school, get whatever treatment they need, and they should get on the field, right? They're still part of the team. There's probably some things they can do or can kind of adapt to doing, but no one is gonna be in Lexi's room, I think I have this later, after 30 minutes, right? They're out of that. It's not gonna be a hangout room. They're gonna be on the field at practice. I would make sure that you tell your players that practice is sacred, okay? If you're making the time to be there, they need to make the time to be there. If they're going to miss, which they shouldn't, especially the older kids, but if they are, they have to tell you, not their mom, not their brother, not another teammate. They need to tell you, all right? But you have to set the standard that practice is sacred. You can't make it like, oh, you can miss, because the more leeway you're gonna give them, the more they're gonna take, okay? Middle school is harder because they just have so many things going on. They try to do like 9 different sports. It's tricky, but high school, I would absolutely, you gotta set a standard for getting those kids to practice every single day. And then I think I talked about before, so coaches working together for that. Anytime there's an injury, so I just went to the away games on Saturday. Lexi wasn't there. She shouldn't have been there, but somebody rolled their ankle. So I just texted Lexi like, hey, so-and-so rolled her ankle. Just so that Monday, Lexi's gonna follow up with that girl. She's gonna document that, and then we'll kind of make a treatment plan for her. Especially if there's an away game that I'm not at, or if Lexi's not out, please just text me that night. I mean, I don't care what time, like John, we think, especially if they go to the hospital. Okay, if someone goes to the hospital, please call or text me, because I need to probably follow up with that parent that night, and I need to make sure that I'm telling the parent that we know what's going on, or we're on top of it, and so on. There was an incident where we didn't know the kid went to the hospital, but he went to the hospital and even like had surgery, and it was a mess. And it was just because we didn't know. Lexi's like, it looks like he's, okay, and they took him to the hospital. Anyways, the more information, the better. Yes, that was based on me. Like that was me. But Lexi looked at him, right, and was like, I think his nose is broken or whatever. He's kind of fine. Well, his parents went in, and anyways, I got super yelled at because we weren't showing the love, and he had, I don't know. Just text me, okay? Any injuries, text me. Send athletes Lexi before the game. Once practice begins, all athletes should be out of the training room, like I said. If a student gets injured, this is super important because we're dealing with this right now too. They have to be cleared by Lexi to play. So if that was they were injured last season, if they were injured over the summer, if they were injured at the last game, Lexi is clearing them. Now how Lexi is clearing them typically is gonna be a doctor's note, right? So if some kid gets a concussion, right, they can't say I feel better, my parents think I can play. Lexi has to have a doctor's note for us to not be liable and make sure that that kid's going to practice and is clear to play. Does that make sense? Super, super important. What's nice is you can put it back on Lexi and she's great, and you're like, did you show Lexi you're clear? You have your doctor's note. If you don't have that information, they just cannot play, all right? And believe me, the parents will quickly get whatever they need in order for that kid to get back on the field if they can. For game days, especially lacrosse, girls, boys, and baseball, please, right now, start arranging for a parent to operate your concessions. I would get a team parent, which we'll get to in a minute, have that team parent just assign them alphabetically. Everybody can donate 1 hour of their time throughout the season, okay? But get that done early and tell the parents, okay, like, you've got this game, you've got this game, you've got this game. If you have JV varsity, if you can switch them, it'd be nice, meaning like a varsity parent could do a JV game, JV can do varsity. If not, again, most of our concessions, they can step out and watch the games. That's not the intent to take away, but we do need the concession stands to be covered, all right? We also need the clock and the PA to be covered. So if you have mom or dad or people, you have a little group, make sure you have your clock and your PA set every single game. Typically, if you can get the same person, it's nice because they'll start to know the kids and just kind of know what they're doing. If you want managers or even your injured players, have them help you setting up with game day preparation, setting up the pylons, putting balls, by the nets, or whatever it is that you need to do. There are some student managers that we can email out to all school and say like, hey, is anybody interested in being a manager for the 7th and 8th grade team or for the JV track team? Some kids want credit, some kids want to be part of the team but don't want to play. So those kids can be really, really helpful and useful for you as managers. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Make sure when your game is over that you put everything away, okay, you clean up everything, no balls, no cones, no water bottles, nothing, okay? Clean up the spaces, please. One coach has to stay. So you're probably gonna have a coaching staff, at least 2, 3, could be up to like 4 or 5. We would alternate practice days when I did it. So like I would stay on Monday, say we practice Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would stay on Mondays, and whatever kids were late, I would stay. And Wednesdays, my assistant coach would stay. And Fridays, the other one would stay. I know it's not ideal, but you just can't leave when practice ends at 5 o'clock, okay? You have to stay till the last person's there. If there is a kid that's more than 15 minutes late and happens more than once, then you email that parent or I'll email that parent that this is not okay. Okay, your time is extremely valuable. I want them to respect it. If they're not respecting it, then they can't be part of the team, right? I know that's kind of seems pretty harsh, but I get it. It's just not fair, in my opinion, for parents not to be on time. With that being said, end your practices on time, please, right? Because if you say 6:15 and you're not letting it out at 6:30, well, don't be ticked when you let them out at 6:15, the parents aren't showing up because you've been out late to practice every 20 minutes the last couple of days, right? So try to end practice on time, but make sure you're there with the kids, and if there's any problems with that, let me know. All right? For those of you with scores, you'll get a link for high school, and you'll send in the score of your game. Try to do it like right after the game or that night. Max preps, you can put it in when you want. Again, that's more just something that I know that you guys do. For middle school, if you could text James and me what your scores are, you can put them on my KCD. A lot of times it's just helpful for us to know. Sometimes it's nice because then I can just, if I see a kid in the hallway the next day, like, oh, you guys did a great job. You won 8-7 versus collegiate, awesome work, right? But those things, again, just information is really important, especially in away games. Just let us know. Team parent, if you click on this link in the presentation, it will tell you like what the team parent should be doing. If you are new and you don't really know who a good team parent would be, please ask us. Okay, we can tell you who to stay away from and who would be good. But this person should be a helper in terms of planning things that you just don't, like you just don't want to be involved in. Like you're gonna have to have a banquet at the end of the year, but I mean, unless you really want to be involved in the RSVP and the decorations and all this other stuff, just have that parent take that off your plate. If you want to have, for senior night, you can pick the date and then have some parents take care of that. They can get whatever, they can get flowers, they can get, you name it. But these parents are really, really important to help you and guide you. And if you have the right ones, I'm telling you, it's huge. When you do pick one, just tell me who it is. And the reason I say that is if I get a call like 9 o'clock at night and it's a random parent and I don't know who it is, I will not pick up the phone. But if I know it's, the team parent for lacrosse, then maybe something's up and I'll pick up the phone. It's just more helpful for me to be able to know kind of who's in your corner and who I will listen to and take kind of, note from, but let me know who your team parent is. And you can have 3. I think, football is a huge team this year. They have like 8 senior team moms, right? I would recommend having a senior's fine, but you should have like at least a junior or sophomore parent because I don't think you don't want senior parents because then they're gonna be gone the next year. Does that make sense? I would have like 1 senior and like at least a junior or sophomore so then they can learn the ropes and kind of take it the next year. Obviously, they're never making any coaching decisions, ever, okay? They should not be telling you who to play, what scheme to run. That is not their job. Varsity sports, just kind of mention this, make sure you pick a senior night. That is really important. I would recommend it not being your last home game, just in case, right? If pouring rains, thunders, lightnings on that last day and you don't have a senior night, you will have some very upset kids and moms. So I would recommend maybe a second to last game, it could be even third. I would recommend if you can an opponent that you feel comfortable with, just because this was my most hated night as a coach, let's be honest. We played, a team that we should have won 10-0 and went into overtime because the girls are too, so worried about their pictures and other stuff. So I personally, I'm not telling parents this, but I hate senior night. I just think it takes the focus totally off the game. So as a coach, I would try to put it on the game where you're not gonna have as much stress. You don't have to, that's just my recommendation. And again, don't make it your last. The team parents should be doing this. It shouldn't be extravagant. Why do I say that? I had a volleyball parent was like, hey, can I hire a DJ and we bring him to the game? No, you cannot, okay? I know that sounds cool and great, but if I let them have a DJ, then I'm gonna get a call from some mom, how come the baseball team can get a DJ on their senior night? Okay, so what we typically do is get flowers kind of for the moms, kids walk through, we say something nice about them. I actually have a form, so it's standardized of what you should be saying. It shouldn't be 15 minutes, it should be a minute for each kid. It should be the same for pretty much every team. We'll have an arch out there, but we're trying to make it as consistent as possible for every team, every level, for all senior nights. Postseason, I know it's been a while, but again, as you're going through your season, have this folder with you. So when you have questions or you're looking ahead, all the information is here for you. Varsity teams get 3 school awards. The board award, most improved in coaches. This hyperlink is like a template to what they are. It also is a Google form, so you can send it out to your team for them to vote. You have to have them vote. You can't just say, oh shoot, we ran out of time. Hey, coaches, let's just pick these 3 things. Okay, yes, you're picking the coach's award, right? But the board award, we did have 1 year where coach kind of, this was a long time ago, just kind of picked who he thought was good and didn't get a vote. And there was a parent that was ticked, they made them vote, and it was a different kid. And that was really messy. Please vote. Now, I'm not saying you can't say, and this is what I would usually do, is the players' vote is 1, assistant coaches is like 2, and head coach is 5. So yes, you will kind of, make the tables turn, okay, as coaches and votes, but you really need to be cognizant of what the kids are saying, because sometimes there's things in the locker room, there could be leaders or people that you don't see as a board award winner, but they do, right? Please make sure you get votes on that, that's all. Secondly, you can give your team as many awards as you want. I'd rather you spend $30 out of your budget to get a plaque. If you have, let's say, 4 seniors, making this up, and 3 of them got those awards, and then you got 1 senior who doesn't get anything. I'm not saying, I'm not a fan of everyone gets a trophy, but I am a fan of like, I'm like getting called the next morning because Susie didn't get an award and everyone else did. To me, it is worth $30 to have an award for other kids. When I was coaching, we had these 3, but we had like MVP, then we had MVP offense, defense, we had hardcore Bearcat, we had different things. You can make them consistent every year. You can have a leadership award. It's whatever you want, but please be cognizant of our families. Again, I don't want to say where everyone gets an award here, but you know, this is so much more than just winning, and I do feel like it is well noticed, or it's gonna come back and haunt you. Does that make sense? If you have 4 seniors and you have 3 awards, unless the other kid was a total turd or didn't show up, you know what I mean, there's something you could probably give them, okay, him or her, and I just think those kind of things will make your life and my life a lot easier. These can be given at your banquet. Again, just let me know what you need. Every sport has records that have gone back to like before the school was even KCD, when it was like Google, actually there's our, sorry, in the back there, but like Kentucky Homeschool, we merged from like all boys and all girls and merged them together. So Bill Bean created this thing called the Bearcat Shield. It has all the records in your sport. So who got the most draws, or what, you know, what are the top 10 for draws? Who's got the most goals in a game, goals in a season? You name it, for hits, you know, maybe who's got the home runs in a season. I would like you to look at that if you've never done that, because you want to be looking at that throughout the year. So at the end, I'm going to give you a hard copy. We're actually getting to where they're almost all to Google Forms, where I can actually just send you the document, and that way you can just change things. So if there's someone that scored, you know, 13 goals in a game, and that was a record this year, you'll put it on. Or even if it's a record that, you know, they scored 6, but that's the 5th highest, you put them in there. That's something that we really try to keep track of and do a good job of. So please make sure, like now, you know what stats are important, so you're taking those throughout the season, right? You don't want to have to go back or go through all your film, or I don't know what you do. So just do that ahead of time, and then you'll submit that to me, and that's Bill Beam. Postseason, uniforms are so important, and so is equipment, especially if they're helmets. I would make a day that you all come in and collect your stuff. I just think it's the easiest way of doing it. Instead of just say, hey, put it in my office or somebody's office, I would say, okay, if your last game's on Thursday, next Monday we're coming in, we're meeting at the pavilion, we're collecting all the uniforms, all the equipment, you're cleaning out the lockers, all that stuff. I would have a day where you do that. I wouldn't just expect to get them all back, because you're not, all right? Any equipment they borrowed, and so on. We have this uniform inventory sheet that goes into detail for every sport. I don't know, let's put girls basketball. We have what uniforms they have, what sizes they have, and so on. Look at that sheet, look at what you have. If you've got new uniforms, I probably have them on there, or we'll get them on there, but this is really important for us to know what we have and what we don't have. Uniforms are unfortunately terribly expensive, and they're very hard to replace. So I really ask for your diligence and making sure you take care of the uniforms, and making sure that the kids turn them in at the end of the season. The spring is hard because you guys, some of your seasons go right up to the end of the year, right? And the seniors aren't even in school then. Please make sure you get them from your kids, okay? I'm happy to send an email to them, and hey, we're gonna charge you in 2 days if you don't get this to us. Ink will get to us sooner than later if I tell them I'm gonna charge them, okay? But have them within like 5 days. This is just information. My phone number, James's email and phone number. Camp Sample is our athletic events associate athletic director. He pretty much will do a ton of the stuff with getting the scoreboard set up. He'll be there, your game day event management. If you need anything, Cam is there for game day stuff. Matt Jones is a lot for your transportation. Okay, so here are just names and numbers for you guys to have. Here are some forms. There is like an official form to fill out for a bus. If you want to do that, that's great. You could just email Matt, and that's fine too. All right. Here is a physical form. So if a parent needs that or wants that, again, this is just information that you have hyperlinked, so you can pass that on. I'll send you a roster and schedule template to fill out. This is a tutorial on my KCDs. If like I've never heard of that, I don't know what you're talking about. You can click on that, and it literally will lead you through how you use my KCD. Okay. This will help as well. And these are just the KHSA, the Max Preps websites. Here's more information. Lexi Waymiller is our trainer, so here's her email. Here's her cell phone. I would definitely get that cell phone in your phone if you don't already have that. Bob Crawford will be who you're working with for team fees and any account information. Robbie Wine is for Spiritwear. He's our BSN rep, and Scott at Quality First does a lot of our middle school Spiritwear. So again, in that checklist you have, I'll send you this presentation. All this information is for you. One thing that I want to remind varsity really doesn't hold it up as much for middle school, but it should. I mean, kids have to be here by 10 a.m. If they're not here at 10 a.m., they cannot play. They can't even go to practice, they can't go to the game. We had a girl who missed a lacrosse game
I was wondering if it was.
because she came in at 10:30, because she thought it was 10:30, not 10, okay? I had a very upset mom yell at me, whatever, and all I did was bring up the handbook, right? But I need you to remind your kids, because you want your kids to be there for big games especially, even for practices, right? If they don't come in by 10 a.m., school starts at 8:30. I mean, it's ridiculous, they can get there by 10, right? If they're sick, they just have to stay home too, but if they don't get there by 10, I'm telling you, they cannot play. I can't back you up if this is your superstar, so please tell them they have to be there by 10, not 10:30, 10 o'clock, or they will not be able to attend practice or play in a game or anything. Three things that I just want to mention at the end is, I really would love for you to take time to have a mentoring program. So the varsity head coaches, all right? You have to take time to build your program. And one way of doing this is to kind of assign yourself to a middle school team. So again, I would have my varsity team kind of be buddies up with 7th and 8th. I have my JV team be Bearcat buddies with the 5th and 6th grade team, all right? Go to one of their practices, right? You could be there for half an hour. I'm not saying you have to be there for an hour, but just your presence, have the older kids meet the younger kids, have them have fun, run a drill. I'd also like you guys to pick one game where maybe you can go as an upper school, go to the first half or the first quarter of a middle school game, right? And vice versa. If a middle school coach or 7th and 8th, if you can find a game that's going to be really good where you don't have practice, and let's say, you know, I know like Brendan, like we're playing collegiate at home, say, hey, let's try to get all the middle schools, and James can work with you on that. We'll make it middle school lacrosse night for the boys, and we'll order them pizza. We did that last year for the girls. It's a huge way to get the community together. We'll tell the rosters of the 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th, get them out in the middle of the field, get them pizza, you know, it's good, but you want to retain these kids, right? Again, you're building your program, so the more effort you can put into your middle school to get those kids better, and the more effort you can put into your middle school coaches aligning with what you're teaching, the more successful our programs and teams are going to be. But this is something I need you, if you're a varsity head coach, to take into account now. Try to figure it out now. Once your season gets going, you're too busy. You're not gonna think about it. But if you have it on the calendar that this Monday we're gonna go to their game, this, middle school coach, this game, we're picking as a high school to go, that's great. Just do it ahead of time. And please make sure you're kind of taking advantage of doing that mentoring program. It is awesome to see the kids in the cafeteria when the older kids come in and the little kids run up and give them a big hug because they met them the other day on the field. Okay, it means a ton. So please work on that as a coach. I'd also like you, this is mainly for high school kids, they're required to do 10 hours of community service anyways. But our kids are very privileged, and I'd really like for our kids to get out of the box and do some community service. I think as a team is one of the best ways you can do that. You can pick whatever you want. It could be an animal shelter, it could be, feeding food, it can be anything. We had somebody go down to the West End school and teach soccer for an hour and a half. Whatever you want, but get the kids off campus, get them in reality, where they can learn how privileged they are and make them hopefully be grateful for what they have, right? It builds team chemistry. I tell you, they're gonna have a lot of fun. It's gonna be great for not only the kids, but whoever you're serving. But creating that gratefulness is really important, I think, in our kids, really to make sure that they understand and appreciate kind of what they have. But athletics is definitely one of the highlights that attracts people to our school, right? There's more people on our campuses for athletic events than anything else, right? They don't come necessarily for chess tournaments, but they're gonna come for a lacrosse game or a track meet. So we want to show off our campus, and we want people to see our school and how great our kids are and how we can give back to the community as well. So if you can work with, I would say your captains too, you can put that on them of like, hey, what do you guys wanna do this year? What kind of service do you guys wanna to do? There's a gentleman at our school that kind of takes care of that. I can put you in touch with him for we have no idea. Okay, his name's Parker Cinta. I'll get him his email and say, hey, Parker, are there any big things that need help that you think our team should go to, and he'll be able to help you with that. One of the last things, if you could just email me 1 or 2 players from your team. I would love for you to be able to give me those names so I can try to meet with those team leaders. It doesn't have to be your captains, it can be, but if you have a bigger team, if you have like track, I would say 1 boy, 1 girl kind of thing. Like lacrosse, you can do 1 girl, 2 girls, 2, whatever. But I can't have like 5 from each team. I won't be able to fit them all in my office. What I'd like to do is kind of just meet with those kids every once in a while, get a pulse from them, do a little bit of leadership training, talk about building a championship culture. But I want you to give me the kids that you think are going to be leaders on your team to take back that information and hopefully be able to help your team grow and be a unit. All right? So again, you've got a checklist of tons of stuff to do. I know there's a lot, but if you continue to go through it, little by little throughout the season, it will probably answer any questions you have, but please make sure you kind of keep this folder with you. Lastly, this is for upper school. Sam O'Brien is our kind of media person, communications media director for the school. Zach Lee is more specific to sports. If you are a varsity program, we don't do middle school Instagram and things like that, not specific anyways. You will have an Instagram account that KCD's created. So like KCD track, okay, KCD baseball. You can have a parent, a coach, a kid be in charge of that. Put someone in charge of it that's gonna do a really good job, because you all have the opportunity to put out whatever information you want. The more you put out there, the more is gonna be seen by other people. How come the baseball team got 30 posts in the last week and Boys Lacrosse had 1? Well, it's because whoever's running your Instagram account is not doing what they should be doing, right? So get somebody who's good at it, who likes doing it. That is not me, right? But if it's someone, it could be, there was some lead person's wife who did it, when Adam Wilkins' wife, like, she was awesome. She did this amazing. I don't care who does it, but that's representing your program, promoting your program. So varsity coaches, find somebody good that you trust. Obviously, they're gonna meet with Sam because there are rules and regulations, and she has kind of the ability to stop anything. But this is an important part of today's day and age of parents checking things, or what are the scores, things like that. So please make sure you find one person or two people that you would be good to run your Instagram account. Here's some beautiful pictures. So James in the back, middle school athletic director. This is Cam Sample, our events coordinator. Matt Jones, football coach, deals with transportation. Lexi's our trainer. Shalise is in the HR department. So if you are new to coaching, you've done your background check, but you have to get on Paycom, any questions like your payment, your contract, whatnot, that'll be through Shalise. And then anything for charging, fax accounts, whatever is Bob. Our emails are all first.last@kc.org. So like Shalise.johnson@kc.org, right? So just kind of giving you a face with the name of some of the people that you guys might need to see or work with throughout the season. One last thing, in the front of your folder, there should be that 14 duties. So this is kind of the ugly stuff, and I'll end with this, but this is things that you have to make sure that you're doing as a coach. We've gone over a lot of them, but this is a day and age where kids are gonna wanna sue, or parents are gonna sue for anything and everything. So these are the things that help cover you as a coach. First one, I'm not gonna read all through it, but just go over the main things. Duty to plan. That just means make sure you have a practice plan. Okay, make sure every day that you're able to, if the court wants to show, what was the progression of your practices, you can hand them a week of your practices. Number 2, duty to supervise. Again, whether the kids are in the locker room, whether they're before practice, after practice, someone has to be around to supervise the kids. They cannot be alone at any point in time. 3, duty to assess athletes' readiness for practice and competition. Right, so that has to do a lot with their physicals, their health, but it also has to do with, again, you're not starting out with a 10-minute, you gotta do a 3-minute mile, or you're gonna keep doing it every single day until you get that. It's just not the way it works anymore, okay? You have to make sure that you have the athletes ready and you pair them appropriately. Number 4, duty to maintain safe playing conditions. If you're on a lacrosse field and there's a ton of goals, or there's a soccer goal in the middle because somebody brought it there, you as a coach have to move those things, right? If a kid gets hurt running to the soccer goal because it's in the middle of the field, that can be on you, right? So make sure you have a safe playing environment. Flipping it over, number 5, duty to provide proper equipment. Making sure, obviously, like something like helmets are really big. Making sure their helmets are safe, that they're up to date, that they're within the proper amount of time. If we have to get them reconditioned and so on, we'll do that. Number 6, duty to instruct properly. So you need to know what you're doing. You need to explain to kids how to do something. Okay, you can't just go out and hit each other as hard as you can and hope for the best. Okay, you have to teach them proper techniques, or throwing the ball as hard as they can, right? Number 7, duty to match athletes. So you don't want to have the 110-pound freshman playing against the 225-pound senior on defense and offense, okay? That's not going to end well. And if that kid gets hurt, you're going to be liable because you need to match athletes appropriately, right? Number 8, duty to condition properly. Kind of said this 9 times. Start slow, progress up with conditioning, right? It's progression of cardiovascular and musculoskeletal condition, okay? Number 9, duty to warn. So it just says warn parents and athletes of unsafe practices and the potential. This is more of like if you, and I don't know football well, but if you dive in with your head down, you can get paralyzed, whatever, okay? Like you need to know if there are some major things. If you don't stretch well before a track, you might be pulling your hamstring, right? Duty to warn the kids about what safe practices are for your sport. Number 10, duty to insure athletes and covered by insurance. That's a physical. If they have a physical, they're insured and you're good. Number 11, duty to provide emergency care. So this is why you have to know CPR, you have to take all those classes because you need to have some sort of emergency care that you feel comfortable in case something happens. Number 12, develop an emergency response plan. The emergency response plan is the EAP that Lexi and I have created, okay? It's already developed for you, but I need you to read it, okay? We need to practice it, we need to make sure that we understand it and document that when we do practice it. Number 13, do to provide proper transportation. So like I said, if it's an away game to Sayre, we can't assume the kids can get to Lexington on their own. We have great parents here. A lot of them are able to take our kids a lot of places. A lot of our kids drive, right? We have those luxuries. But if you need to provide proper transportation, we are required to do that. So you need to tell me, and we'll make sure that we get buses for our kids. 14, do to select, train, and supervise coaches. So again, my job is to help you with your job. I'm not gonna necessarily know how to coach, put the best batting lineup together or who's the best relay team, but I'm gonna try to coach you to be better coaches. And any way I can do that, I wanna do that. I've coached for 20 years, I've played at a high level, I understand a lot of things that go on, and I'm here to help you. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Use me as a resource. Middle school, use James as a resource, but all of us are here to help you guys be the best you can be, handle parents appropriately, do well with the kids. We want you to be successful, right? I look great when you guys do good, so do well, right? I don't ever want to hire people that I don't think are great for our kids or great for our program. You've all been hired because you have potential, and a lot of you guys have done this for a while. We want you part. You make a huge impact on these kids' lives. I know for me, my coaches are probably some of the most influential people in my life and still are. Know the impact that you will have, make that a good impact, and make sure that you understand the value. I wish you'd be getting paid what you should be getting paid. I wish teachers would get paid what they should be getting paid, but this is more of a service that you're providing that is so important for the kids, and I hope you realize how thankful I am for you and what you do for our kids and for our school and for our athletic program. Trying to get this within an hour. If you have any questions, let me know before you leave. I do need you to promise me that you are going to read the coach's handbook and read the EAP, fill out those 2 forms for me, okay? As your season starts, any questions you have, please bring that folder with you. As big and annoying as it is, it takes hours to create that, put it together. It's really important that you use that as a resource. Please don't throw that in like the back of your trunk. Have that with you every day at practice. Look through it each week of what was I supposed to do in January, what was I supposed to do at the beginning of the season. Shoot, games are coming up. What are the things I have to get in order, right? Everything is there for you. So use this checklist as a guide for me to help you be a better coach and know that I'm here to help you guys any way we can. So please take your some snacks or drinks on the way out. If you haven't grabbed a t-shirt, do that. If you didn't sign in, just sign in. And thank you all for being here tonight. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, good to be here.